3 words, lesbian space witches. That's what we're talking about today in episode 3 of the Acolyte. Welcome back to Star Wars WTF, where we are going through every episode of Star Wars chronologically to find the moments that make us go, huh? Let's go for 5 likes on this video because I think we can reach that goal. I'm really looking forward to 5 likes on this video. Before we start today's episode, this episode and any future episode of Star Wars WTF that is a character's memory that they didn't remember right is going to be treated like every other WTF moment in Star Wars, because the character should know better anyway. Just know before you go down to the comments that I know it's someone's memory that's not right, and that's the whole episode, and there's going to be some twist later. So let's get this episode started. This is episode 3 of the Acolyte, Destiny. The episode begins on Brendok 16 years ago. That's right, it's a flashback episode. It begins under a yellow willow-like bunta tree. We see the twins Osha and May as children, twins that look about as alike as Luke and Leia. Osha says, "The bunta tree's so beautiful." May says, "But Osha, it's dangerous." Osha replies, "Only if we eat it." Why would anybody, even a small child, think about eating a tree? I'm not sure. So if you don't know, the bunta tree's yellow leaves are used in a poison. Why anybody would think about eating a tree and why the tree would be dangerous if you just ate it doesn't make any sense to me. They get into a fight because May wants to catch a butterfly slug, and Osha mentions she doesn't want to do the ascension ceremony. Now, knowing what the ascension ceremony is now, I don't blame her at all, but we'll get to that. May says the thing again. The rhyme that makes absolutely 0 sense.
You are with me, I am with you, always one, but born as two. As above sits the stars and below sits the sea. I give you you and you give me me.
I don't know, I guess that has to do with twins or something. I don't know. Whenever we were kids, we were just like smacking each other as hard as we could with sticks. Spiky Mama Coral sneaks up on them and screams at them and threatens them because they left the fortress walls. We see a younger soul following them, and you know he's younger because he's got that boyish poof of hair sticking out of his Jedi robe. They get back to the fortress and we find ourselves, that's right, a coven of all lesbian space witches. Finally, Star Wars needed this. I mean, we've had the Witches of Dathomir for a long time. Now, how they reproduce to keep their community going, I don't know, and I don't want to know. The girls get permission from Mother and Asaya to have some of those sweet spice creams. Spice creams did get me into trouble before, but I'm going to talk about that later in the video. And Asaya asks Mama Coral about the status of the visiting Jedi, which apparently they're super concerned about because Coral yelled at the twins for leaving and dragged them back into the fortress. Coral says, yeah, they're still on the planet. They're like all over the place. Directly after that, Anasaya says, "I told you this would be a safe haven for our coven." What are you talking about, Anasaya? It's not safe. The Jedi are here. They're all over the planet looking for your coven. Just because you say something doesn't make it true. Mother Anasaya gives a lesson on their witch version of the Force. She conjures a magic thread from her fingertips, which is a really nice callback to Disney's Hercules. If the witches looked like those witches from Hercules, it would have been a lot more interesting. Anasaya does some force practice with the twins, and they hold off her attack together. Spiky Mama Coral says, "Osha, I expected more from you." What? They held her force push off together, which is what they were supposed to do. They're training as twins. You taught them that stupid thing to say together. Well, they're working together, so what's your problem? What? Jeez, you witch. The kids are getting groomed for the ascension ceremony. Osha again is fighting with May and says, "We are not the same." May says, "Yes, we are." I'll have to agree with Osha here because, again, the only thing they have in common is their hairstyle. Nighttime approaches, and a large group of lesbian space witches are doing just the most awkward wavy hand thing. I don't know about you, but I like my witches to be in sync when they're performing a wickening. Anasaya gives a speech about how the coven was exiled because they were practicing dark and unnatural magic. Hey, Sheev Palpatine said that. A random witch in the back lets out a loud I can't even do it. Hold on. I can't play it, so I'm going to try to do it. She goes I think it was more like a I can't do it. She says they were given the gift of life and the girls walk up to the stage. So the twins are a virgins in the Force. Kind of steals Anakin's thunder there. I'm not sure if I like that too much. They start their chant, which goes on for way too long. The power of one, the power of two, the power of many. Side note, a while ago when I was first watching this, I was very deeply affected by this chant while eating spice cream Oreos. Go ahead and roll that clip.
God has tied together. No one can separate. The power of one, the power of two, the power of many. The power of one, the power of two, the power of many. The power of two, the power of many. The power of many. Master Fiati Mundi, I'm sorry I failed you. Your birthday's supposed to not be till later. You're not born yet. Born yet. Again, it's the Oreos. Oh, good. The power of one. The power of two. The power of many. The power.
Comment Oreo down below if this happened to you too, because it could not have just been me. The ceremony continues and Anicia blasts a Kamehameha into May's face. Osha looks understandably scared and says, "I," and she looks at the witches all around her, and they're all like... She says, "I do," but before she could blast her in the face, the Jedi come to save the day. They're like, "This party's over." Young Indara, Sol, Kalnaka, and Padawan Torben walk in, again, strutting in, goose-stepping in there like they own the place. I do kind of admire how the Jedi walk into places in this show. The witches pull their bows up and are about to shoot arrows at the Jedi, so who let them into the fortress in the first place? It didn't really establish that they sneaked in because they knew they were there. Somebody at the gate had to have let them in. At least send a howler to like the person in charge before you say, "Okay, come on in, guys," you know? They introduce themselves and Anastasia mocks them and saying, "Oh, the all-knowing Jedi don't know what's going on around them." Indara is nice enough, but she's here for the kids. Coral is like, "There are no children here." Kalnaka's like, "I can see them right there." They were just like standing in the crowd of witches and you could clearly see them right there. So if like a kid is trying to hide something from their parents and they like stand in front of it, but it's bigger than they are, that's pretty much what the witches just did there. Mama Anastasia confirms that they have no father, and the witches are like, "They want our children." Which, I mean, they're right. Sol says, quote, "The Jedi do not take children, but we are here for your children." Basically. Everybody in the galaxy knows that the Jedi take children. I mean, it's kind of what they do. They're child snatchers. Sol then hands his lightsaber to Osha and says, "I think you'd be a good Jedi." That's the equivalent to a cop handing a kid his firearm during a domestic and saying, "I think you'd be a good cop, kid." Sol, don't do that. They're surrounded by powerful witches who are getting increasingly escalated and angry. Come on, Sol, you know better than that. And you give your only weapon to a child who may be on their side. You know, Anastasia takes over Torben's mind and he gets some sick witcher eyes. Osha kind of stops the whole situation and says, "I want to go with the Jedi, Mama." She said she wants to show the Jedi her sick force moves. Anastasia agrees to let them go the next day to meet with the Jedi for the Jedi tests. Anastasia and Coral have a fight about whether they should let the twins go take the Jedi tests. Coral said, "No, the girls shouldn't go because I carried them." Anastasia says, "Well, I created them." I tried that argument with my wife and that didn't go so well. Coral's gonna win that fight 9 times out of 10. An old overacting hag in the back interrupts them. I'm not kidding, her voice sounded exactly like this. "This test has 2 outcomes. Pass or fail." It was just like that. The acting is so great in this show. "If they pass, the girls leave. But if we want them to stay..." It was legit, it was just like that. So basically the witches decide to manipulate the children to stay. The next day the girls, Anastasia and Coral and a squad of attack witches meet the Jedi at their ship. May makes Osha promise she will lie for the Jedi test and Osha says, "Okay, yeah, I'll lie." Torben takes a blood sample from Osha. She sees his lightsaber and asks, "Do all Jedis get one of those?" Now this isn't really a WTF, but it's just kind of nitpicky on my part. The plural of Jedi is Jedi, it's not Jedis. And I just swear I saw it on X that somebody posted Jedis. I mean, everybody should know that by now. Now, if this was written in the script on purpose to show her childlike ignorance of the English language, I understand that. You know, like how a kid would say, do all mooses have horns? You know, it's a thing. But anyway, of course all Jedi get lightsabers. Why would you want to be a Jedi if you didn't get a lightsaber? I mean, obviously, yes, you're gonna get a lightsaber. Osha attempts to fail the test, but Soul's too smart for that. Soul convinces Osha to just be herself and come with the Jedi. She goes back and tells Mama Anastasia that she wants to be one of the Jedis. Osha and Anastasia have a nice moment there. Of course you're gonna cry, you know, if the child that you use dark magic to conceive in another woman is leaving. I would cry too. Osha goes back to her room and May's all like, I'll kill you before I let you leave. The little psychopath locks Osha in her room. She starts a small fire with a book and a torch outside of the room. Somehow the small book fire spreads throughout the entire stone fortress. Within minutes, it spreads to the second floor. There's screaming from witches, there's explosions. I mean, man, that fire did a lot of damage. The main generator to the fortress explodes, cracks the bridge that her and her sister were standing on. May says Mama died, the bridge collapses. May falls into the hellmouth that she created. Somehow Soul's there at the last minute to save her. Somehow he knows where they were. Osha wakes up with a CPAP on her face and says, what happened? Soul blames May's small book fire for the entire fortress being destroyed and her dying as well as her mother, and he says there's nothing left for you there. She didn't even ask about Mama Coral, which is it's kind of messed up, but the screen goes black and we see May going back to the Bunta tree to find Osha. She's amazed that Osha's not there waiting for her. Really, May, you're amazed that your sister's not there waiting for you after you just tried to barbecue her? That'll do it for episode 3 of the Acolyte Destiny. If you liked this video, don't forget to comment, subscribe, like the video, give it a like. Let's get to 10 likes. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time.